So a lot of you have asked me for advice on finding a friend with benefits, or have told me that you've gone to swimmer clubs or sex clubs and have not experienced any success there. So I'm going to give you my opinion on friend with benefits situations, and I'll give you some my advice, some solutions. So my name's Diana. Welcome to my channel, Diana's Diary. I'm a 43-year-old single woman, and I document my exploits here. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. So a friend with benefits situation is, long story short, a no strings attached sexual relationship, right? There's no commitment involved in the dynamic. So I'm going to refer to everything here very heteronormative, male and female relationships, right? So in America and in most of the West, sex precedes commitment. Like in Iran, where I'm from, there is premarital sex happening, but it's not discussed. It's taboo. Commitment precedes sex. But in America, sex precedes commitment very much so. It's become the norm. And so it's become very difficult in modern dating for a woman to discern between a man who just wants sex and a man who wants commitment, or who will evolve into a committed relationship. Because those two men are acting the same, saying the same things, looking the same, putting in the same effort, right? In the beginning. So women have become very frustrated with modern dating, and they're stepping back. There's the 4B movement, there's celibacy, there's sprinkle going on, right? So as a result of being compassionate to the needs of women and to the needs of men, I have to say that I don't think there is a good way to get into a friend with benefit situation. If you've got it like that and you can do that with your friends, then you wouldn't be asking me for advice, right? The guys who know how to do that or who have that aren't asking for advice. I'm here to give advice to the people who are struggling in that department. And here's my advice. And it's unpopular. It might be unpopular advice in the general public, but I think it's good advice. And that is, if you're struggling to get into a friends with benefits situation, or you're struggling to find no strings attached sex, then I would recommend that you find a full service sex worker, or a sex worker or a professional provider to fulfill your needs. I am a huge supporter of sex workers, male and female, and I'm a huge supporter of the people who see them for their needs, male or female. It does go both ways. There are women who see male sex workers, and those guys usually have an OnlyFans. So it's happening. It's happening, right? And before anybody gets into it's immoral or it's unethical or what that, as you know, I'm Iranian. There's a very famous Iranian poet, a metaphysical Sufi poet named Rumi, Muhammad ibn something Rumi. And one of his most famous quotes is as follows. It goes, "Out between ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I will meet you there." That is where I live. I live in reality. Don't give me what's right and don't give me what's wrong. I don't care. I'm here to talk about sex, and I'm here to talk about pleasure, and I'm here to talk about self-love, and I am here to give advice and suggestions to the people who ask for it, because you guys are we're all being vulnerable here, right? I'm being vulnerable by talking about my experiences, and you guys are being vulnerable by asking for advice, and I appreciate that. And I'm going to try to give you guys the best advice I can and be as open and honest with you guys as I can. Find a sex worker. Find a sex worker. There are plenty of reputable, well-run sites where you can find a sex worker. The most okay, I like my rating scales, right? So I'll go from 0 to 10. 0 is sprinkle, sprinkle dating. So there's a very popular YouTuber called Shira7, and she advocates for women to stop dating broke men and start dating men who are going to spoil them and who are going to financially take care of them. It's called sprinkle, sprinkle dating. And there is nothing wrong with dating this way. There is nothing wrong with a girl wanting to be financially supported in exchange for her time and attention. And there is nothing wrong with a man providing support to a woman in exchange for her time and attention. This is the most basic level of an arrangement, right? It's basically an arrangement. So that's at a 0. So you might take a girl out for dinner and drinks, and then she might say, you know, I need a little bit of financial help, and you might say, okay, you know, I'm willing to provide that, but in exchange, I want a little bit more of your time, and there you go. Then there are websites that will facilitate that. One of them is called Seeking. It used to be called Seeking Arrangement. Now it's just called Seeking. It's been around for I think about 20 years or so. And again, it's sprinkle dating, but on a more sophisticated level. So I've been on there. I've had amazing experiences on there, and I strongly recommend it. So on there, things are discussed up front. What do you want? What do I want? And how are we going to meet in the middle? So as there's two categories. You sign up either as a successful or as an attractive. So the successful is typically the man and attractive is the woman. And then you start to filter down your stats, like your income or how you look. You got to provide photos. I think there's a level for men where they don't have to provide photos. They can keep their profile private and they can search in private. And then you start to reach out to people that you find interesting. What's unique about Seeking, which I think is an advantage for men, is that a lot of women will reach out to men first on the site. Like I don't do that. I don't reach out to men on the site. Men reach out to me. I just don't have the time to like search and start sending out like messages to men. But I am aware from the men I've met on the site that women do aggressively pursue men on that site. So that might be a nice little change of pace for someone who's been struggling to meet a pretty girl. Like suddenly there's going to be an onslaught of people interested in you. Now, wherever there is sex and money being discussed at the same table, there is going to be a very high chance of there being a scammer, a fake profile, or a bot. And you're going to have to use your best discernment and your best common sense to not get scammed on these sites. So on Seeking specifically, there are other sites I'm going to get into that have better vetting processes to minimize the chances of getting scammed as someone seeking the services of a provider. So on Seeking, yes, there is a high chance of getting scammed. I had given my phone number out to someone on the site, a guy, and he accidentally forwarded my phone number to someone else he was talking to. And she messaged me. And I played along with it to find out who it was that had given my phone number out. And then she disclosed it to me. She goes, it was this guy, let's say John, it was John. And then I messaged her and I said, look, my name's Diana. I think you're very beautiful. This is my phone number. And I was just acting to try to figure out who gave you my number. I've already confronted him, but I just want to let you know so that you don't get alarmed or afraid. And she wrote back, it's okay, I'm fake. So I screenshotted it and I sent it to the guy who had given out my phone number. I'm like, please be careful. Don't be giving out my phone number to people. You have to just slow down and be careful. But she was fake. And when I was conversing with her as if I were the guy, she said that she was willing to do a video call. So fake accounts are getting very sophisticated, and Seeking is supposed to be putting safeguards in place to prevent this from happening. But I guess to some degree it's kind of impossible. So then if you want to take it to the next level, there's a website called Tryst, tryst.link, tryst.link. And that is where you can find hourly providers. I have a guy friend who uses it to get providers, and I have a girlfriend who is a provider. The vetting process as a provider to get on Link takes like 45 days. And a lot of the time, women will get denied for like one reason or another, and then they have to try again and again. So I'm aware that as a provider, their Tryst's vetting process is very rigorous, and I was very impressed. It's the creme de la creme of provider websites. And it's based in Australia, where sex work is legal. So they don't have to go through a lot of the same loopholes as American companies do. So that's your safest bet on the whole for everything I'm going to recommend for finding a provider, because of the safeguards in place, and because of the fact that it is an Australian company and isn't subject to the same kind of restrictions as American companies are. You can find all types of people on there. I went on as a seeker through my guy friend's profile, and I looked in New York. I looked at profiles in New York, and there's all types of people on there. I saw a couple offering sex coaching. I saw this conservative Jewish woman on there. She was like, her tagline said something like, let me be your Jewish American princess, let me be your Jap princess, or something like that. And her photos were black and white, and she was in like full like conservative Jewish gear. All types. Then you have your blonde, Playboy bunny types, all types on there. And their rates reflect the level of service and safety and security that Tryst provides. It is, I've said before that being a guy at a swinger club it's not an inexpensive hobby. Seeing a provider is not an inexpensive hobby. It's a very expensive hobby. Being on Seeking is a very expensive hobby. This is not for the meek. So I'm letting you know that now. But it can be worth it if you're just seeking a sexual experience with no strings attached. I recommend it over trying to find it in your community or among your friends or among your coworkers. Like, no need to swim in shallow waters. Get your fixed and move on in life. Especially if you're not ready for a relationship. And then there's Tryst, which, like I said, is the creme de la creme. And then there are other sites. I've heard of Eros, EROS, Preferred 411, and Private Delights. There's quite a lot of sites there. There's enough on there for people to be able to find exactly what they're looking for, and enough legitimacy that there's so many of these sites that have existed for a long time where these women have built a clientele. So then there are the guys who go overseas. When I was in college and I was studying psychology, and the research was starting to come out on this, it was called sex tourism. Now it's called passport bros. Guys who go overseas to date women cheaply, like so they can find a woman of equal attractiveness overseas in a lot of countries and it would be a lot cheaper to date her. Like a date is cheaper, a hotel is cheaper, flowers are cheaper, everything's cheaper, right? I don't deny that opportunity exists. I just think it should be done discreetly, because what girl wants to be flaunted as the girl who was cheaper to date than her contemporary in the US? Like that's not sexy, that's not fun. So that's my advice. Of course, as I always say, sex and drugs shouldn't mix. Use protection, be responsible for your sexual health. Don't push anybody's boundaries, don't push your own boundaries. But I think if you are not experiencing what you want in life sexually, and you've tried and it's not working out, seeing a sex worker or provider is the solution. I mean, it's the solution. So I don't see anything wrong with that. And there's, like I said, I've gone through different ways, different platforms to find what you're looking for that are legitimate, legal, safe, and because you're not paying for sex, you're paying for someone's time. You're paying for her time. And there's other resources on YouTube. There's men on here that are talking about how to avoid getting scammed, how to avoid legal issues. And I think that sex work, and especially with the advent of OF and the normalization of it through social media, I think sex work laws are going to become a lot more lax. And I think it's going to become a lot less stigmatized. Social media has done a lot to destigmatize providers, and that's great. And I think it'll help destigmatize men who go to see women like that. I was doing my research, and one of the top comments on one of the videos for one of the sites, I think it might have been Tryst, was as follows. It said, "I'm a disabled veteran and I see providers because they give me the respect and attention that I don't get from people in my community, that I don't get from dating in regular circles." And I was like, I felt so bad, but I'm like, dude is empowering himself. Dude is empowering himself, and dude is empowering a woman by paying her for what he wants. It's the most honest conversation a man and a woman can have, and they're both winning. I see those two people as winning. He's winning and she's winning. So I will not tolerate any nasty comments down below. Tell me about your experiences on these sites. Tell me about your experiences with providers. Tell me good things. And I'll be back with more content soon.